Love is often celebrated as an unbreakable bond, a force that can conquer all, but what happens when that love is built on secrets and lies? In this story, a wedding, meant to symbolize the start of a new life together, turns into a nightmare of betrayal and bloodshed. Set in a quiet, upscale neighborhood, this tragic tale unfolds behind the walls of what should have been a perfect celebration, where joy and anticipation mask the dark secrets waiting to be revealed. This is the story of Derek, Leah, and Taryn, three lives intertwined by love, friendship, and deception. Choices have been made, truths have been hidden, and on this fateful night everything is about to come crashing down. Derek and Taryn were more than best friends. They were confidants, allies against the world, inseparable since childhood. Their bond was unshakable, or so it seemed. But beneath the surface, something unspoken lingered, something deeper, more complicated than either of them dared to admit. Then Leah entered their world. She saw Derek as a devoted partner, Taryn as his loyal best friend. To her, their closeness was a sign of trust, a foundation for a strong marriage. What she didn't see, what she couldn't see, were the stolen glances, the lingering touches, the weight of words left unspoken between the two men she thought she knew. As the wedding day approached, Derek found himself spiraling. He loved Leah, but he was also living a secret life with Taryn, one that neither of them could ignore any longer. Taryn saw it too. Derek's forced smiles, his hollow laughter, the weight of an impossible choice pressing down on him. Leah, in her blissful ignorance, was consumed with wedding preparations, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. But to truly understand how this night would end, we have to go back, to the moment when everything changed. It was an ordinary evening until it wasn't. Derek and Taryn were alone, as they often were, but that night something was different. A glance lingered a second too long, a touch held more meaning than it should, and then, the boundary between them shattered. One night of passion, one night of fear, one night that neither of them could take back. In the days that followed, they buried their secret deep, but with every stolen moment, the weight of deception grew heavier. Derek was caught between two worlds, the life he was expected to live and the life he had only just begun to understand. And then the wedding day arrived. Derek stood at the altar, his heart pounding, not with excitement, but with dread. Leah walked toward him, glowing with happiness. Taryn stood just a few feet away, as his best man, but today, that title felt heavier than ever before. As Derek recited his vows, the words felt hollow. He glanced at Taryn, whose forced smile did nothing to hide the pain in his eyes. The ceremony went on, rings were exchanged, vows were sealed with a kiss, but beneath the surface, everything was already unraveling. At the reception, Leah basked in the joy of the day, unaware of the silent war raging inside her new husband. But something felt off. Derek was distant. His laughter was forced. His eyes, whenever they met Taryn's, held an unspoken desperation. Taryn, too, was struggling. Watching Derek with Leah was torture, each affectionate gesture between them a reminder of what he could never have. The weight of their affair, the guilt, the secrecy, was suffocating. And then, as the night wore on, Derek made a decision that would change everything. Unable to ignore the turmoil inside him, Derek slipped out of bed while Leah slept. He needed to talk to Taryn, to make sense of the mess they had created. The hotel hallway was eerily quiet as he made his way to Taryn's room. When the door opened, the weight of their secret hung heavy between them. Words failed them. The emotions that had been building for weeks finally erupted. And in a moment of weakness, they gave in to desire one last time. But their moment of stolen passion was about to become their downfall. Leah stirred in bed, reaching for Derek, only to find his side cold and empty. Panic set in. Where was he? A sinking feeling led her to Taryn's room. She hesitated before knocking. Once, twice, no answer. And then the door creaked open. Taryn stood there, guilt written all over his face, dressed only in his underwear, and just beyond him, Derek. In that moment, Leah didn't need to hear the truth. She saw it, felt it, and it shattered her world. Rage surged through her veins as she demanded answers. Derek, desperate, tried to explain, but what could he possibly say? And then, in a moment of blind fury, Leah snapped. Her hands trembled as she grabbed the nearest object, a heavy lamp. Before Derek could react, she swung. The impact sent him crashing to the floor. Blood pooled around him. A stunned silence filled the room. Taryn rushed to his side, his hands shaking as he tried to stop the bleeding, but it was too late. Derek was gone. Leah stood frozen, the reality of her actions dawning on her, but the rage hadn't fully subsided. She turned to Taryn, blaming him for everything, for the betrayal, for the destruction of her perfect life. And then, she attacked again. Taryn barely had time to react before her second blow struck. He collapsed beside Derek, their blood mingling on the cold floor, and then there was only silence. The wedding, once a symbol of love and commitment, had become a scene of tragedy. The joy was gone, the vows meant nothing, and Leah, once the radiant bride, was now a woman broken by betrayal, consumed by grief and rage. As she collapsed beside the bodies of the two men she had loved, one as a husband, the other as a friend turned enemy, she was left with only one question. What now? As dawn broke, Leah knew there was no escaping the consequences of her actions. The wedding rings, once symbols of unity, now lay discarded, broken remnants of a love that had never truly existed. And as the weight of the night's horrors settled over her, she was left to face the unforgiving truth. Some secrets are too deadly to keep. If you found this story chilling, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more true crime stories that reveal the darkest depths of human nature. Until next time, stay safe, and be careful who you trust.